Logan Bryant was not a man who looked for adventure. He had lived a quiet life since leaving the Navy. Now he worked alone, salvaging old ships and broken machines from forgotten places. Today, he was walking along the rocky shore of a small island far from the mainland. The wind was strong and the sky was gray. Logan had heard reports of strange lights falling from the sky a few nights ago. Curiosity got the better of him. He walked past jagged rocks and twisted metal pieces scattered, like broken toys. Most of it looked old, maybe space junk or parts from a weather balloon. But then he saw something different. Half buried in the sand was a pod, round and smooth with strange symbols glowing faintly on its surface. It looked damaged, maybe even broken open by impact. Logan stepped closer. The pod's side was cracked. He could see inside. There was something, or someone, inside. His heart beat faster. He reached in carefully and touched a hand. It was cold. The figure was a young woman, or at least looked like one. She had long, dark hair and pale blue skin. Her eyes were closed, her breathing slow. He checked for injuries. There was a deep cut on her arm and a piece of sharp metal stuck near her ribs. Logan pulled out his pocket knife and gently removed the shard. A small drop of silver blood came out and stopped almost instantly. That wasn't normal. The woman stirred. Her eyes fluttered open. They were bright green, almost glowing. She looked at him with confusion, fear, and something else. Recognition? Where am I? She whispered, voice soft and shaky. Logan didn't know what to say. She shouldn't be awake so fast. You're safe, he said finally. You crashed here? She sat up slowly, wincing in pain. Her hands shook. Safe, she repeated, as if tasting the word. Then she looked at him again. You, Logan frowned. Do I know you? She blinked, then shook her head. No, but I know you. She paused. Thank you. Logan helped her sit upright. She was weak but alive. He gave her some water from his pack. She drank slowly, looking around like everything was new to her. What's your name? He asked. She thought for a moment. Zira. Okay, Zira. Can you walk? She tried to stand, but her legs gave out. Logan caught her before she fell. She smelled like ozone and flowers, strange and unfamiliar. I don't think I can, she admitted. Logan sighed. Then I guess I'm carrying you. He lifted her easily. She was lighter than she looked. Together, they made their way back to his cabin, a small wooden house built into the hillside overlooking the ocean. The wind howled behind them, but inside the fire was warm. He laid her down on the couch and covered her with a blanket. She watched him with wide eyes, silent. Logan stood back and crossed his arms. So, where are you from? Zara looked at the ceiling. Far away. That's not an answer. She smiled slightly. It is, for now. Logan rolled his eyes but didn't press. He made some soup, hoping she could eat it. She sipped slowly, watching him move around the kitchen. Why help me? She asked suddenly. Logan paused. Because you were hurt, and because nobody deserves to wake up alone after falling from the sky. Sarah looked at him for a long time. Then she whispered, You really don't remember, do you? Logan raised an eyebrow. Remember what? She didn't answer. Instead, she closed her eyes and fell asleep, the warmth of the fire dancing across her face. Outside, the storm passed. And somewhere deep in Logan's memory, something stirred. Something he couldn't quite place but felt very familiar. Zira woke up slowly, the warmth of the fire wrapping around her like a soft blanket. The room was small but cozy, filled with wooden shelves, old tools, and the smell of dry wood and smoke. She sat up carefully, her body still weak but stronger than before. Logan was sitting nearby, cleaning a knife with slow, steady hands. He looked up when she moved. You're awake, he said simply. Zira nodded, her voice still quiet. How long have I been asleep? A few days, Logan replied. You were hurt bad. She touched her side where the metal shard had been. The skin was smooth now, only a faint mark remained. She looked at him with new eyes. Not just curiosity, but something deeper. Why did you help me? She asked again. Logan gave a tired smile. Because it's what people do. Zira tilted her head. Not where I come from. He set the knife down. Well, maybe that's the difference between us. She stood up slowly, holding onto the back of the couch for balance. Her legs trembled but held. Logan watched her carefully, ready to catch her if she fell. Where am I? She asked, looking out the window. Logan stood as well. A cabin on a small island, far from the mainland. Zara stepped closer to the glass. Outside, trees swayed in the wind, and the sea rolled in with soft waves. Everything felt strange, new. This place. It's peaceful, she whispered. Logan crossed his arms. Yeah. It used to be enough for me. Zara turned to look at him. Used to be? He shrugged. Now I've got a space alien in my living room. Things changed. She smiled slightly. I'm not just any alien. I'm a princess. Logan raised an eyebrow. Really? She nodded. Yes, or at least, I was. His expression softened. What happened? Zara looked away. My world, it was taken, my family. They were lost. Logan didn't say anything for a moment. Then he walked to a small shelf and pulled down a book. He handed it to her. Start learning, he said. If you want to stay here, you'll need to understand this world. Zira opened the book. Slowly. The pages were rough, the letters strange, but she wanted to learn, wanted to understand. Over the next few days, Zara explored the cabin, asked questions about everything, and tried to speak more English. Logan taught her how to cook, though she burned more than she made. She learned how to sit quietly, how to listen to the wind, how to smile without fear. One night they sat by the fire watching the flames dance. Do you miss it? Logan asked. Zira looked at him. Miss what? Your home, she thought for a long time. Sometimes. But I also know I can't go back. Not yet. Logan studied her. And what happens when they find you? She met his eyes. Then we fight. He gave a small chuckle. Guess I've fought worse odds. They sat in silence after that, the fire crackling softly between them. Outside, the wind howled through the trees. Inside, something new was growing, not just survival, but trust. And, maybe, just maybe, something more. Days passed and Zira grew stronger. The color came back to her skin and the pain in her side faded. She moved more freely now, walking around the cabin, touching books, tools, and even the wooden floor like everything was new and strange. Logan watched her with quiet curiosity. He had seen many things in his life, but nothing like her. She spoke better now, though sometimes she paused too long between words or used them in odd ways. Still, she was learning fast. One night, while sitting by the fire, Zira closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Logan noticed how still she became, like she was listening to something far away. What's wrong? He asked. She didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was soft. I see. Flashes. Memories. Logan leaned forward. Memories of what? Of before, she said. Before the crash. Before Earth. He waited for her to go on. She opened her eyes, looking into the flames. There was smoke, fire, screams. I was running through dark halls, cold floors under my feet. Someone was chasing me. I hid in a small space behind metal walls. Logan sat quietly, not wanting to interrupt. Then, a hand, pulling me out. A voice saying, come on, we have to move. It was a man, tall, strong, scared but not showing it. Her eyes met Logan's. It was you. Logan blinked. Me? Zira nodded slowly. You were there, on the ship. You saved me. He shook his head. That doesn't make sense. I've never been on an alien ship. But you were, she insisted. I remember now. The smell of sweat and fuel. The way you pulled me through tight spaces. You got me to safety. Then, you were gone. Logan rubbed his face. Maybe you're confused. Maybe you just think, it was me because I helped you here. Zara stood up suddenly, her glow dimming with frustration. No, it was you. I know it was. My people. We don't forget faces. Our minds hold on to those who save us, even across time and stars. Logan stared at her, unsure what to say. You were there, she whispered, and you risked your life for me. He looked away, trying to make sense of it. If that's true, how did I get back here? Why don't I remember any of this? Zara stepped closer. Maybe your mind blocked it. Maybe the journey erased it, but I felt it. I always did. That's why I recognized you the moment I woke up. Logan swallowed hard. He had spent years trying to forget war, to leave danger behind. But if what she was saying was true, he had jumped into it again without knowing. Why would I be on that ship? He asked. Zara looked down. Because you weren't supposed to be there. You must have stolen aboard. Maybe you were hiding. Maybe you were lost. But when you saw me, you didn't run. You helped. Logan exhaled slowly. So, I'm some kind of hero now? Zara smiled faintly. To me, yes. They sat in silence after that. Outside, the wind howled, shaking the windows. Inside, the fire burned low. Logan thought about all the years since the Navy. The loneliness, the quiet days, the feeling that he was just passing time. But maybe somewhere deep inside him, he had lived another life he couldn't remember. And maybe, just maybe, he wasn't done living it yet. As the days passed, Logan and Zara grew closer. At first, it was small things. Shared meals. Quiet. Talks by the fire. Walks along the shore where she pointed at birds and asked their names. But slowly, something deeper formed between them. A comfort. A trust. A bond that neither of them had expected. Zara learned more English every day. She picked up slang from old radio shows and movies Logan played on his old TV. She laughed at the way people talked, how they moved, how they argued over silly things like food or music. Logan taught her how to cook, though she burned more than she made. She showed him how to relax, how to smile again. One afternoon, they sat on the porch watching the sea roll in. The wind blew through Zara's hair and she leaned back against the wooden railing. You miss this place, she said. Logan looked at her. What makes you say that? Because you never talk about going back. He thought for a moment. I don't know if there's anything left to go back to. Zara tilted her head. You were alone before me, weren't you? Logan gave a dry laugh. Yeah, guess I was. She studied him. Why? He shrugged. Never found someone who stuck around. Maybe I didn't let them. Zara looked out at the water. Where I come from, we don't choose our bonds lightly. When we connect with someone, it lasts. We remember each other across lifetimes. Logan raised an eyebrow. You saying we're bonded? She smiled softly. Maybe. They sat in silence for a while longer. Then Logan stood up and stretched. Come on, he said. Let's go for a walk. They walked down the cliff path to the beach. The sand was cool underfoot. Waves crashed gently against the rocks. Zara bent down to pick up a shell, turning it in her hand. On my world, she said, the oceans are red, and the sky changes color every hour. Logan looked at her. Really? She nodded. Yes, and there are creatures that float in the air like jellyfish. They sing. He smiled. Sounds beautiful. She looked at him. It was. Until the war came. Logan's smile faded. You still think they'll find you? Zara's eyes darkened. Yes. They have to. I am the last of my line. Logan frowned. So what happens if they do? Zara turned to face him fully. Then I must return. Or they will keep hunting me. Logan looked away. He didn't want to think about that. Not yet. What about you? She asked. Would you come with me? He blinked. To another planet? Yes. Logan took a deep breath. I don't know. Seems like a big jump. Zara stepped closer. But would you want to? He looked into her glowing green eyes. Saw hope. Fear. Something real. I don't know, he said honestly. But I think I might. Zara smiled, and for a moment the whole world seemed lighter. But just then, a sound broke the peace. A low hum from the sky. Both of them looked up. A dark shape passed overhead, too fast to be a bird, too silent to be a plane. Zara's face went pale. What is it? Logan asked. She whispered. They've found me. Logan felt his stomach tighten. The quiet life he had built here was slipping away. But this time he wasn't going to run. This time he was going to fight. The dark shape passed overhead and vanished beyond the horizon. Logan felt a chill he couldn't explain. Zara stood frozen, her glowing eyes wide with fear. What was that? He asked, already knowing the answer wouldn't be good. Zara turned to him, voice low and urgent. A seeker drone. They use it to track people like me. Logan frowned. People like you? She nodded. My kind. We leave a trace. Not physical. More like an echo in the air. The drones can follow it. Logan looked up again, but the sky was empty now, just clouds and wind. So what does that mean? Zara's face was serious. It means they know I'm here, and they'll come soon. They hurried back to the cabin. Inside, Zara moved fast, gathering small items from around the room, things Logan didn't recognize. One looked like a smooth stone, another like a thin bracelet. You have a plan? Logan asked, watching her closely. Not a good one, she admitted. But hiding won't work anymore. Logan grabbed a flashlight and checked the windows. How many do you think are coming? At least 2 teams, she said. Maybe more. He let out a slow breath. Then we need to move. Zara stopped and looked at him. You don't have to do this. Logan gave her a flat look. Really? Because it seems like I kinda do. She stepped closer. I don't want you getting hurt. Too late for that, he said. You're already part of my life, and if those guys are after you, they're after me too. Zara stared at him for a long moment. Then she reached out and touched his hand. Her skin was warm, almost humming. There's something you should know, she said softly. Logan raised an eyebrow. More secrets? She smiled a little. This one's about us. He waited. My people don't forget faces, she began. Or feelings. When someone saves us, we feel a bond. It grows stronger over time. Logan shifted uncomfortably. Okay, Zara went on. When you saved me before, the bond started. But when you found me again here, it got deeper, stronger. Logan swallowed. And what does that mean exactly? She looked into his eyes. It means I can feel you, even when you're quiet, even when you hide things. I know when you're scared, when you're angry, when you care. Logan blinked. You're telling me you can read my emotions? Not read, she corrected. Feel, like echoes, like ripples in water. Logan rubbed the back of his neck. That's weird. Zara smiled. Is it worse than space drones finding people by magic? Fair point, he muttered. Outside, the wind picked up. Night was falling fast. Logan lit a small lantern and handed Zara a blanket. We should get moving, he said. If they're coming, I'd rather not wait for them. Zara nodded. Where do we go? Logan looked out through the window. Beyond the trees was a network of caves carved into the cliffs. He had explored them years ago. There's a place nearby, he said. Deep enough to hide. Hard to find unless you know where to look. Zara followed his gaze. Then let's go. As they stepped outside, the wind howled louder. Somewhere far away, the hum of the drone came back, faint but growing. Logan tightened his jacket and looked at Zara. Ready? He asked. She met his eyes. As long as I'm with you. He gave a small nod. Then let's see how deep this bond really goes. Together they disappeared into the trees, leaving the cabin behind. The storm rolled in behind them, covering their tracks. And somewhere above, the Seekers were closing in. The wind howled through the trees as Logan and Zara moved deeper into the forest. The ground was wet and slippery underfoot, but they kept going. Behind them, the hum of the Seeker drone faded, only to be replaced by something worse. Silence. Zara stopped suddenly. Her eyes flickered with a soft green glow. "They're listening," she whispered. Logan looked around. "With what?" "Not ears," she said. "Technology. Maybe even magic. They can feel my presence like a pulse." Logan frowned. "So hiding won't work." She shook her head. "Not forever." They reached the edge of the cliff where the caves were hidden behind thick vines and rock. Logan pushed the vines aside and led her inside. The air was cool and damp. Their footsteps echoed softly on the stone floor. Once inside, Zara sat down and closed her eyes. Logan watched her carefully. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Trying to reach them," she said without opening her eyes. "Reach who?" "My people." Logan crouched beside her. "You mean the ones trying to kill you?" Zara opened her eyes. "Some of them. Not all. There are still those loyal to my family. If I can contact them, they might help us." Logan didn't look convinced. "And if the bad guys pick it up instead?" Zara gave him a small smile. "Then we run faster." She closed her eyes again and took a deep breath. Slowly, faint lines of light began to glow across her skin, like veins filled with starlight. Logan leaned back, watching in silence. After a few moments, she gasped and opened her eyes wide. "What happened?" Logan asked quickly. "I made contact," she said, voice shaking slightly. "Someone answered." Logan raised an eyebrow. "Good news or bad news?" Zara stood up. "Depends on who it was." Just then, the cave entrance rumbled. A low vibration passed through the walls. Both of them turned toward the sound. "We don't have time to find out," Logan said. They ran further into the cave, deeper into darkness. The tunnel twisted and split into smaller paths. Logan chose one at random, hoping it would lead somewhere useful. As they moved, Zara's breathing became heavier. Logan noticed she was slowing down. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "It takes energy to send messages across space. I'll be fine." Logan wasn't sure he believed her, but he didn't push. Instead, he kept moving, keeping his ears open for any sign of pursuit. Finally, the tunnel opened into a large chamber. Moonlight filtered through cracks in the ceiling, lighting the room just enough to see. Logan caught his breath. "This place?" Zara looked around. "What is it?" "Used to come here when I was younger," he said. "Never thought I'd be back." Zara walked to the center of the room and placed her hand on the stone floor. Her glow pulsed again, stronger this time. A soft chime filled the air. Logan tensed. "What was that?" Zara smiled. "Help." From the shadows, a figure stepped forward. Tall, cloaked in dark blue, with glowing symbols stitched into the fabric. The face was hidden, but the voice was clear. "Princess Zara," the figure said. "You are not alone." Logan stepped in front of her instinctively. "Who are you?" The figure lowered its hood. It was a woman, with silver hair and sharp eyes. She looked at Zara with deep respect. "I am Velen," she said, "the captain of the last loyal guard." Zara let out a breath. "You found me." Velen nodded. "We never stopped looking." Logan looked between them. "So, you're not the bad guys?" Valen smiled slightly. "Only if you threaten her." Logan held up his hands. "Fair enough." Zara turned to him. "This changes everything." He looked at her. "Does it?" She met his gaze. "Now I don't have to run alone." Logan thought about that. About the quiet life he had left behind. About the girl from the stars who had changed everything. He gave a small nod. Then I guess we fight together. Valen stepped forward. Then we should move now before they find us. Zara took Logan's hand. Together they stepped into the unknown. The attack came at dawn. Logan was the first to hear it, a low buzzing sound that grew louder with every passing second. He shot up from where he had been resting on the cave floor. Zara was curled beside him, still asleep. Valen stood near, the entrance already alert, her hand gripping a weapon Logan had never seen before. "They're here," she said quietly. Logan moved fast. He shook Zara gently until her eyes fluttered open. She sat up quickly, sensing the tension in the air. "How many?" she asked. Valen looked through a small crack in the stone wall. "2 squads, maybe more." Logan grabbed his backpack and pulled out a flashlight and a small knife. Not much, but it was all he had. Zara stood up and placed her palm against the wall. Her skin glowed faintly as if trying to sense something beyond the stone. "They know we're inside," she whispered. Logan gritted his teeth. "Then we can't stay here." Valen nodded. "We need to split up, draw them away." Zara shook her head. "No. We stick together." Valen looked at her like she was making a mistake but didn't argue. A sudden explosion rocked the cave. Dust and small rocks rained down from above. Everyone ducked as the entrance was blown open. Bright light poured in, followed by dark figures, wearing armor that shimmered like water. Logan's heart pounded. They were outgunned and outnumbered. "Move," Valen shouted. They ran deeper into the cave, dodging bursts of energy fire that scorched the walls behind them. The tunnel narrowed, forcing them to move single file. Logan stayed close to Zara, shielding her as best he could. "There's another exit ahead," Logan called out. "I used to come through here as a kid." "Lead the way," Valen ordered. They turned a sharp corner and found themselves in a wider chamber. Vines hung from the ceiling and roots twisted across the floor. Logan spotted the opening on the far side and pointed. "There!" Before they could reach it, one of the attackers landed from above. His suit clicked and whirred as he rose to his full height. He held a long staff that pulsed with red light. Zara stepped forward without fear. "You serve the wrong master." The attacker tilted his head. "You are coming with us, princess." She shook her head. "I will never go back with you." The attacker lunged. In an instant, Valen was on him. Their weapons clashed with a burst of sparks and sound. Logan pulled Zara back as the two fighters danced around each other fast and deadly. Another group of enemies entered from the main tunnel. Logan acted without thinking. He grabbed a loose rock and threw it hard. It struck one of them in the helmet, knocking him back. "Go!" Zara yelled. They sprinted for the exit. Behind them, Valen fought like a storm, holding off the enemy with skill and strength. Logan didn't look back. They burst out into the forest just as the sky began to lighten. Birds scattered into the air. The wind carried the smell of salt and pine. Zara fell to her knees, breathing hard. Logan dropped beside her. "Are you okay?" he asked. She looked up at him, eyes glowing brighter than ever. "You saved me again." He gave a tired smile. "Guess I have a habit." She reached out and took his hand. "I don't want to leave you behind." Logan looked at her, really looked at her. This girl who had fallen from the stars and changed everything. "Then don't," he said simply. She smiled, tears forming in her eyes. Behind them, the battle raged on inside the cave. But outside, under the morning sky, something new was beginning, and neither of them wanted to let it go. The forest was quiet again, but Logan knew it wouldn't stay that way for long. The attackers would regroup. They would search. And they wouldn't stop until Zara was captured or worse. Zara sat on a fallen log, catching her breath. Her skin still glowed faintly from the fight, like fire under her skin. Valen stood nearby, checking the blade on her arm. She looked tired, but not beaten. Logan paced back and forth, trying to think. "We can't stay here." Valen nodded. "You're right. We need to leave this planet." Logan stopped. "Leave?" Zara looked up at him. "Yes. If we go to my world, we can gather allies. Fight back properly." He blinked. You mean space travel? Like now? Zara gave a small smile. You've already done it once, you just don't remember. Logan rubbed his face. He had gotten used to the idea that Zara was from another planet, that she was being hunted, even that he had saved her before. But going into space? I don't know, he said slowly. That's a big step. Zira stood and walked over to him. It's not just about me anymore. If they win, they'll keep coming. Earth won't be safe. Logan looked into her eyes. He saw fear, hope, trust. He sighed. Okay, but how do we get there? Valen stepped forward. There's a hidden craft nearby, old but functional. We can use it. They moved fast through the trees, staying low and quiet. After nearly an hour of walking, they reached a clearing covered in thick vines and moss. In the center, half buried in dirt and roots, was a small ship shaped like a teardrop. Logan stared at it. That's it. Valen placed her hand on the side. The metal shimmered, then shifted, opening with a soft hum. Zira turned to Logan. Ready? He took one last look at the forest, the sky, the only home he'd ever known. Then he nodded. Let's go. Inside, the ship was cool and silent. The walls glowed softly with blue lines of light. Seats were built into the floor, designed to hold passengers in place during flight. Logan sat down carefully, feeling awkward. Zira sat beside him. Don't worry, it's safer than it looks. The door closed behind them with a gentle hiss. The lights brightened. The ground shook slightly as the ship powered up. Logan tightened his grip on the edge of the seat. This is really happening. Valen stood near the front, working the controls. The ship lifted off the ground with barely a sound. Trees shrank below them. Clouds passed by like soft waves. Logan watched everything disappear beneath him. His chest felt tight. First time? Zira asked gently. Yeah, he admitted. Never thought I'd see the world from above. She smiled. From up here, everything looks smaller. Even our fears. He glanced at her. Do yours feel smaller? She looked out the window. Not yet. Outside, the sky darkened. Stars began to appear. Logan had seen them before, but never like this. Brighter, sharper, endless. How long will it take? He asked. Valen answered without turning. A few days. Maybe more. Logan leaned back. Guess I better get comfortable. Zira rested her head on his shoulder. You're not alone. Logan's heart beat slower. For the first time since finding her on the beach, he believed her. The ship rose higher, leaving Earth behind. And ahead of them, the stars waited. The view outside the ship was like nothing Logan had ever seen. Stars stretched in every direction, bright and cold. Far below, or maybe it was ahead, was a planet, swirling with color. Blues, purples, and flashes of gold danced across its surface. That's it, Zira said softly. Home. Logan looked at her. She stared at the planet with wide eyes, her glowing green gaze filled with something he couldn't name. Sadness, hope, fear. Valen stood near the controls, speaking, in low tones to someone through a small screen built into the wall. The voice on the other side was sharp and urgent. They know we're coming, Valen said after ending the call. Some of them are ready for us. Others, Zara nodded. Others will try to stop us. Logan shifted in his seat. What does that mean for us? Valen turned to face him. It means we land quietly, avoid detection, find allies before the enemy finds us. Logan rubbed his neck. Sounds like a plan with too many ways to fail. Zara gave him a small smile. But it's the only one we have. As the ship descended, the sky changed. Thick clouds swallowed them whole, then parted to show a world unlike Earth. The city below was tall and curved, made of silver and crystal. Lights moved along the buildings like rivers of fire. Logan leaned forward. You grew up there? Zara nodded. Yes, before everything fell apart. The ship landed in a hidden valley far from the city. Trees here were tall and black, their leaves shimmering like glass. The air was warm and smelled different, sweeter, but with an edge of metal. They stepped out carefully. Valen led the way, scanning for danger. Zira stayed close to Logan, guiding him as if he were a child seeing the world for the first time. "Stay quiet," she whispered. "Not everyone here will be happy to see me." They walked for hours through winding paths and underground tunnels until they reached a hidden base carved into the side of a mountain. Inside, dozens of people waited, some with Zara's glowing eyes, others with different skin, different shapes. A man stepped forward. His hair was white, his armor worn but strong. "Princess," he said, bowing slightly. "You've returned." Zira stepped forward. "I have, and I bring help." The man looked at Logan, studied him closely. Logan held his gaze. "If you've got a problem with me being here, now's the time to say it." The man smiled faintly. "No problem, just surprise." Zira raised her voice so all could hear. "These people took my home, my family. They want to erase everything we stand for. But I didn't come back alone." She looked at Logan again. "This man fought beside me, saved my life more than once. If you stand with me, you must also stand with him." Silence filled the room. Then slowly, one by one, the people began to nod. Some even bowed. Logan felt a strange warmth in his chest. He wasn't just visiting this world anymore. He was part of it. Later that night, Logan sat near a small light watching Zira speak with her people. Plans were forming, strategies, attacks, defenses. He had spent most of his life feeling like he didn't belong anywhere. But here, in this strange place under a purple sky, with a girl who had fallen from the stars and found him twice, he finally felt like he mattered. And when Zira came to sit beside him, taking his hand without a word, he knew he was exactly where he was meant to be. The battle for the city began at dawn. From the mountain base, Zira and her people moved fast. Valen led the front line, silent and deadly. Logan stayed close to Zira, his heart pounding with every step. They weren't just fighting for a throne, they were fighting for a future. As they reached the edge of the capital, the sky lit up with energy fire. Ships clashed above, streaks of red and blue flashing across the clouds. On the ground, soldiers in dark armor fought against those loyal to Zira. Explosions cracked through the air like thunder. Logan ducked behind a broken wall as a blast hit the ground nearby. Smoke filled his lungs. He coughed, then looked for Zira. She stood tall, glowing brighter than ever, her eyes locked on the palace in the distance. "We have to reach the throne," she shouted over the noise. "If I stand there when this ends, it's over." Logan grabbed her arm. "You sure about that?" She turned to him. "I've never been more sure of anything." They ran through the chaos, dodging enemy fire and fallen debris. Logan used everything he had learned, his instincts, his strength, his courage. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was fighting for something real. Finally, they reached the palace gates. Valen was already there, holding the line with a few remaining fighters. One of the enemy commanders stepped forward, taller than the rest, wearing black armor lined with gold. "This ends now," the commander said. Zira stepped forward without fear. "Yes, it does." The fight was brutal. The commander was strong, fast, skilled. But Zira was faster. Logan watched as she moved like wind and fire, striking with purpose, defending with heart. When the commander tried to strike her down, Logan dove in and blocked the blow with a stolen weapon. Together they pushed forward. In the end, it was not brute strength that won, but will. Zira placed her hand on the commander's chest and whispered something only they could hear. The glow from her skin faded into his armor, and he fell to his knees. The fighting stopped. One by one, the enemy dropped their weapons. Zira stood, tall, breathless, but victorious. The throne room was quiet when they entered. Dust hung in the air. Light poured through shattered windows. Zira walked to the center and turned to face her people. Logan stood beside her. Valen bowed and the crowd followed. Later that day, a ceremony was held. Not with loud speeches or long lines, but with silence and respect. Zira sat on the throne, not as a queen demanding power, but as a leader offering hope. She looked at Logan and smiled. Then she stood and raised her voice so all could hear. Today we begin again, not with war, not with fear, but with unity. She turned to Logan and took his hand. This man came from another world. He found me when I was lost, saved me when I was broken. Today, I ask you to accept him, not as a ruler, but as my partner, my equal. A hush fell over the hall. Then slowly the people clapped, nodded, bowed. Logan felt something he hadn't felt in years. He felt seen. That night, they stood on the palace balcony looking out over the city. Lights flickered in the streets below. Life was returning. Zara leaned her head on his shoulder. Thank you, Logan smiled. For what? For remembering me? She said softly. Even when you didn't know who I was. He looked at her. I think I always knew. She kissed him gently, and for the first time in a long time, the stars didn't feel so far away. Behind them, a new world waited, and together, they were ready to face it.